Her family chose the perfect husband for her. Successful, respected, safe. A man who would give her a comfortable life, a predictable future, and absolutely nothing that made her heart race. But destiny? Destiny had other plans. Because on the night before her engagement party, she locked eyes with a stranger across a crowded Seoul street. A dangerous stranger. A Korean man with dark eyes that promised trouble and a smile that whispered destruction. She should have looked away. She should have remembered her family's plans. She should have been the good daughter they raised her to be. But when he walked toward her, when he spoke her name like he had known her in another life, when his hand touched hers and her entire world caught fire, Zara Williams made a choice. A choice that would betray her family, shatter her future, and pull her into a world of danger she never knew existed. If you love dark romance, forbidden love, and stories that will have you screaming at your screen, you're exactly where you need to be. This story is about to wreck you. Zara Williams had always been the perfect daughter. Perfect grades. Perfect manners. Perfect obedience. Growing up in a prestigious Black family in Chicago, she had learned early that expectations were not optional. Her father was a federal judge. Her mother was a renowned surgeon. Her older brother was already making partner at a top law firm. The Williams family did not accept mediocrity, and they certainly did not accept rebellion. So Zara had followed the path they laid out for her, studied what they told her to study, befriended who they approved of, became exactly what they wanted her to be, a brilliant young architect, a refined, elegant woman, the perfect candidate for the perfect marriage. She was 27 years old, and she had never made a single decision for herself. Not really. Not until Seoul. The trip was supposed to be a reward. 3 weeks in South Korea to finalize her engagement to Marcus Chin, the son of her father's closest friend and business partner. Marcus was everything her family wanted. Harvard-educated, wealthy, respectful, Chinese-American with the right connections and the right pedigree. He was handsome in a safe, predictable way. He was kind in a polite, distant way. He was perfect. And Zara felt absolutely nothing when she looked at him. But that didn't matter. Feelings were a luxury. Marriage was a strategy. At least, that's what she had been taught to believe. Seoul was supposed to be about wedding planning, meeting Marcus's extended family, choosing venues, selecting designers for her gown. But on her third night in the city, everything changed. She had escaped the suffocating dinner with Marcus's relatives, slipped out of the hotel for air, walked through the neon-lit streets of Gangnam, feeling more alone than she had ever felt in her life. That's when she saw him. He was standing outside a nightclub, surrounded by men in black suits. Tall, broad-shouldered, a face that belonged on ancient warriors, sharp jaw, high cheekbones, eyes so dark they seemed to absorb the light around them. He radiated danger. Every instinct she had screamed at her to look away. But she couldn't. And when his eyes found hers across that crowded street, the world stopped spinning. He moved toward her. Smooth. Predatory. Like a panther stalking prey. The men around him tensed, but he waved them off without looking. His eyes never left her face. "You're lost," he said. His voice was deep. Low. A rumble that she felt in her chest. "I'm not lost." "Then why do you look like you're running from something?" She should have walked away. She should have been afraid. Instead, she lifted her chin. "Maybe I'm running towards something." He smiled. It was a dangerous smile. A smile that promised trouble and temptation and things she had never allowed herself to want. "I'm Kwon Jae-sun," he said. "I didn't ask." "You wanted to." She had. God help her, she had. His name was Kwon Jae-sun. And within 5 minutes of conversation, Zara knew he was everything her family would hate. He was rough where Marcus was polished. Direct where Marcus was diplomatic. Real where Marcus was performance. He asked her questions, not polite small talk, but real questions. About what she wanted. Who she was. What made her feel alive. No one had ever asked her those things before. No one had ever cared about the answers. "You're engaged," he said at some point. She looked down at the diamond on her finger. The diamond Marcus had presented with a spreadsheet of their combined assets. Yes. Do you love him? The question hit her like a physical blow. That's not the point. Then what is the point? She didn't have an answer. And the way Jason looked at her, like he could see every crack in her armor, made her want to cry. They talked for 3 hours. On a bench near the Han River. The city glittering around them. The night growing colder while something warm built between them. He told her about his life. He was 32. Born in Busan. Raised in Seoul's underground before clawing his way to the top of something. He was vague about the details. But Zara wasn't naive. The suits following him. The deference everyone showed. The scars on his knuckles. Kwon Jae-sun was not a businessman. He was something far more dangerous. And she should have run. But when he walked her back to her hotel, when his hand brushed her arm at the door, when he looked at her like she was the most fascinating thing he had ever seen. She gave him her phone number. The next 2 weeks were torture. Beautiful, agonizing torture. Jae-sun texted her, called her, found reasons to appear wherever she was. He sent flowers, not roses, but wild orchids that reminded her of home. He sent books, novels she had mentioned wanting to read. He sent handwritten notes in surprisingly elegant Korean that she had to use an app to translate. Thinking of you. You looked beautiful today. Run away with me. That one kept her up at night. Meanwhile, the engagement preparations continued. Dress fittings. Menu tastings. Conversations about table settings that made her want to scream. Marcus was attentive in his distant way. He held her hand at public events. He spoke proudly about their future. But he never looked at her the way Jae-sun did. He never made her feel seen. He never made her pulse race or her breath catch or her entire body come alive. With Marcus, she was a checklist item. With Jae-sun, she was a revelation. The confrontation came on day 12. Jae-sun appeared at a restaurant where she was lunching with Marcus's mother. He didn't approach her. He simply sat at the bar, ordered a drink, and watched. His presence was enough. Mrs. Chen noticed immediately. That man keeps staring at you. Zara's heart hammered. I don't know him. He looks dangerous. I'm sure he's harmless. But when she glanced at Jae-sun, he raised his glass slightly. A toast. A challenge. A declaration. She found him after lunch. In the alley behind the restaurant. Waiting for her. Are you insane? She hissed. My future mother-in-law was right there. I needed to see you. You can't just appear. I can't stop thinking about you. His words hit her like a wave. Jae-sun. I know this is complicated. I know you have obligations. I know I'm not the safe choice. He stepped closer. But I also know that when you're with him, you're dying inside. You don't know that. I can see it, Zara. Every time you smile at him, it doesn't reach your eyes. Every time he touches you, you flinch. You're suffocating in a life you didn't choose. Tears burned in her eyes. What do you want from me? I want you to choose yourself. For once in your life. And what if choosing myself means choosing you? He reached out. Took her hand. Pressed it against his chest, against the steady, powerful beating of his heart. Then I'll spend every day proving you made the right decision. She should have walked away. She should have returned to Marcus and the safe, predictable future her family had planned. But when Jae-sun looked at her like that, when he held her hand against his heart, when he offered her everything she had never allowed herself to want, she broke. I can't do this, she whispered. Can't or won't. I don't know. He released her hand. Stepped back. I'll wait, he said. However long it takes. I'll wait. Then he walked away. And Zara was left standing in that alley, her entire world crumbling around her. The next few days were agony. She went through the motions. Smiled for photographs. Discussed flower arrangements. Pretended everything was fine. But inside, she was screaming. Every night, she lay awake thinking about Jae-sun. His voice. His eyes. The way he made her feel like she was worth something beyond her family's plans. And every morning, she woke up to Marcus's polite texts and her mother's excited calls about the wedding. She was being torn in two. And she couldn't survive much longer. The truth about Jae-sun came out on day 15. Zara was researching Seoul architecture for a project when she stumbled across an article. A Korean article. About the Kwon crime family. About their mysterious leader, a man who had risen from nothing to control half of Seoul's underground. About Kwon Jae-sun. The photographs confirmed everything. The man she was falling for wasn't just dangerous. He was the head of one of the most powerful criminal organizations in South Korea. She confronted him that night. At his penthouse. A place she shouldn't have known about, but he had given her the address weeks ago. Just in case, he had said. You're a criminal. He didn't deny it. I'm a businessman. You're a gangster. A mafia boss. Whatever you call it here. I call it survival. His voice was calm. Too calm. I grew up with nothing. Less than nothing. I did what I had to do to survive. And then I built something. Something illegal. Something that keeps thousands of people employed. Something that protects communities the police ignore. Something that actually works. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. He moved toward her. But I never claimed to be righteous. I only claimed to want you. She backed away. How can I trust anything you've said? You hid this from me. I was going to tell you. Tonight, actually. He reached into his jacket. Pulled out a folder. I had this prepared. She took it with shaking hands. Inside was everything. His business structures. His operations. What was legal? What wasn't? What he was trying to change. I'm not asking you to accept who I am, he said quietly. I'm asking you to understand that I've never pretended to be anyone else. Not with you. But, your fiancé? His expression hardened. Marcus Chin? His family's fortune comes from pharmaceutical companies that have killed thousands with opioid distribution. His father has bribed more officials than I could count. His brother runs illegal gambling operations across 3 states. Zara froze. What? The difference between us isn't that I'm criminal and they're not. The difference is that they hide behind respectability while I'm honest about who I am. She stared at the folder. At the documentation. At the proof of things she had never known about her own fiancé's family. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to make an informed choice. Because I won't compete with a lie. She left his penthouse that night with more questions than answers. And instead of going back to the hotel, she investigated. She called contacts. Researched records. Dug into the Chin family's past. Everything Jae-sun had said was true. Marcus's family wasn't clean. They weren't even close to clean. They were just better at hiding it. And suddenly, the choice didn't seem so simple anymore. The engagement party was in 3 days. 3 days to decide her future. 3 days to choose between the lie she had been given and the dangerous truth she had found. She met Jae-sun one more time. At the Han River, where they had first talked. I don't know what to do, she admitted. Yes, you do. My family. Your family wants you to be a trophy. A symbol of their success. A doll they can dress up and show off. His voice was fierce. But that's not who you are. You don't know who I am. I know you're brilliant. I know you're fierce. I know that behind that perfect mask is a woman who is desperate to be free. He took her hands. I know that you've spent your entire life being what everyone else wanted. And I know that you're exhausted. Tears spilled down her cheeks. What if I choose you and it destroys everything? What if you don't choose me and you destroy yourself? She didn't have an answer. But when he pulled her into his arms, when he held her like she was precious and powerful and worth fighting for, she knew. She had already made her choice. She was just too afraid to admit it. The engagement party arrived. A grand ballroom. 300 guests. Everything her family had dreamed of. Zara wore a designer gown, champagne silk that her mother had chosen. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was flawless. She looked exactly like the bride-to-be she was supposed to be. But inside, she was falling apart. She stood next to Marcus. Accepted congratulations. Smiled until her face ached. And the whole time, she was scanning the room for an exit. Her father gave a speech. About legacy. About family. About how proud he was of his daughter for making such an excellent match. Her mother dabbed at her eyes. Marcus squeezed her hand. And Zara felt like she was drowning. Then, the doors opened. And he walked in. Kwon Jae-sun, in a black suit that probably cost more than most cars, flanked by two of his men, looking like he owned the room, which, knowing him, he probably did. The crowd parted. Whispers erupted. Who asked that? He looks dangerous. Security should. But no one moved. No one dared. Because the look in Jae-sun's eyes was absolute. He walked straight toward Zara. Stopped in front of her. And in front of 300 guests, in front of her fiancé, her parents, everyone who mattered in her carefully constructed life. He spoke. I'm here to offer you a choice. Who the hell are you? Marcus demanded. Jae-sun didn't even look at him. His eyes were locked on Zara. I'm the man who sees her. The real her. Not the version you all created. This is ridiculous. Marcus. Zara's voice surprised even her. Calm. Controlled. Powerful. Stop. The room fell silent. Zara. Her father's voice was sharp. What is the meaning of this? She looked at her parents. At Marcus. At the 300 people watching her like she was a performance. And something inside her snapped. I can't do this. What? I can't do this. She pulled the engagement ring from her finger. I won't marry someone I don't love. I won't live a life someone else chose for me. I won't be your trophy anymore. Her mother gasped. Her father's face turned to stone. Marcus looked like he had been slapped. But Zara didn't care. Because for the first time in her life, she was choosing herself. She took Jae-sun's hand. In front of everyone. Get me out of here. He didn't hesitate. He wrapped his arm around her waist and led her through the crowd, his men clearing a path. Behind them, chaos erupted. Her father shouting. Her mother crying. Marcus demanding someone stop this. But no one did. And when they reached the doors, when Zara looked back at the life she was leaving behind, she felt no regret. Only freedom. The fallout was immediate. Her family disowned her. Her father sent a single text, "You are no longer my daughter." Her mother refused to answer calls. Her brother blocked her on everything. 27 years of perfect obedience, erased in a single night. It should have devastated her. But sitting in Jae-sun's car, watching Seoul blur past the windows, Zara felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Where are we going? She asked. My home. Unless you want to go somewhere else. I don't have anywhere else. You have me. She looked at him. This dangerous man. This criminal. This stranger who somehow knew her better than her own family. I just destroyed my entire life. No. You destroyed the cage they built around you. That's different. What happens now? He reached over. Took her hand. Laced his fingers through hers. Now, you start living. Moving into Jae-sun's world was like stepping onto another planet. His penthouse was massive, 3 floors of luxury overlooking Seoul. Security everywhere. Staff who bowed when she walked past. He gave her an entire wing to herself. No pressure, he explained. We move at your pace. Whatever you're comfortable with. She didn't know what she had expected. But it wasn't this. Respect. Space. Patience. Why are you being so careful with me? Because you've spent your entire life being controlled. The last thing I want is for you to feel controlled by me. But I chose you. You chose freedom. I'm just lucky enough to be part of it. He was nothing like what she had expected a crime lord to be. And every day, she fell deeper. The weeks that followed were transformative. Zara started working again on her own terms. She established an architecture firm with clients who appreciated her vision, not just her family name. She learned Korean. Explored Seoul. Made friends who liked her for her, not her connections. And Jae-sun. Jae-sun was there through all of it. He didn't push. Didn't demand. Didn't try to own her. He simply supported. When she had bad days, missing her family, questioning her choices, he held her. When she had victories, new clients, successful designs, he celebrated. When she needed space, he gave it. When she needed closeness, he was there. He was everything her family had told her she didn't deserve. The relationship developed slowly. From cautious roommates to careful friends to something more. He never pressured her physically. Never assumed. Never took. Every boundary was respected. Every advance was her choice. And when she finally went to his room one night, when she finally showed him that she was ready, he looked at her like she was sacred. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. What happened next changed everything. Not just physically, but emotionally. Because in Jae-sun's arms, Zara finally understood what it meant to be wanted. Not as a trophy, not as a symbol, but as a woman. Of course, happiness never comes without complications. The Chin family didn't accept their humiliation quietly. Marcus's father, the one with the opioid money and the political connections, decided to make Jae-sun pay. It started with business attacks. Contracts canceled. Partners threatened. Then it escalated. Properties vandalized. Associates arrested on false charges. A systematic dismantling of everything Jae-sun had built. And behind it all, a message. Return what you stole, or lose everything. They want me back, Zara realized. This is about me. This is about pride. They can't accept that you chose someone they consider beneath them. You're not beneath them. In their eyes, I am. I'm not wealthy the right way. I'm not connected the right way. I'm not clean. Zara's jaw tightened. What do we do? Jae-sun looked at her. And in his eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen before. Fear. Not for himself. For her. You don't have to be part of this fight. You could leave, go somewhere safe until... Don't even finish that sentence. Zara. You told me I was free to make my own choices. This is my choice. I stand with you. Something broke in his expression. And when he pulled her close, when he held her like she was the most precious thing in his world, she knew she had said exactly the right thing. The war that followed was brutal. But Zara discovered she wasn't just an architect. She was a strategist. Her education, all those years of studying structures and systems, gave her insights that Jae-sun's people had never considered. She mapped the Chin family's business networks, found weaknesses in their empire, designed a counterattack that was methodical and devastating. You're terrifying, Jae-sun told her one night, watching her work. I'm motivated. Remind me never to make you my enemy. Smart man. Together, they fought back. Not with violence, though there was some of that, but with exposure. The opioid records. The bribery evidence. The illegal gambling operations. Everything the Chin family had hidden. Zara helped bring to light. The scandal broke 6 months after her engagement escape. Federal investigations were launched. Assets were frozen. Marcus's father was arrested on 17 counts of fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. And Marcus himself? He fled the country rather than face charges. The perfect family. The safe choice. The respectable match. Destroyed. And Zara felt no sympathy. Because they had tried to destroy her. They had failed. It's over, Jae-sun said when the last news report aired. The Seoul skyline glittering below them. Finally. You're remarkable, you know that? She leaned into him. I had good motivation. And what was that? She looked up at him. This man who had walked into her life and changed everything. You showed me what I was worth. I just proved it to everyone else. His arms tightened around her. I love you. It was the first time he had said it. The first time either of them had. I love you too. The words felt like coming home. A year later, they stood in the same penthouse. But this time, there was a ring on her finger. Not a diamond chosen by committee. Not a symbol of business alliance. A simple band of gold with a single stone, blue topaz, her grandmother's favorite. Jae-sun had designed it himself. I wanted something that was only yours, he had said when he proposed. Something that had nothing to do with obligation or expectation. Something that was just. Yes. She had said yes before he finished the sentence. The wedding was small. No 300 guests. No designer gowns. No speeches about legacy and matches. Just them. Jae-sun's closest people. Friends Zara had made in Seoul. A handful of family members who had reached out after the scandal. The ones who finally understood that she had made the right choice. Her mother came. Standing nervously at the back of the venue, tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, she whispered when Zara approached. Your father is still, but I couldn't miss this. I couldn't let you think. I know, Mom. You look so happy. I am happy. And for the first time in Zara's memory, her mother hugged her. Really hugged her. That's all I ever wanted for you. I forgot to ask what you wanted. It was a start. A small one. But it was enough. The ceremony was in Korean and English. Traditional and modern. Just like them. When Jae-sun took her hands, when he looked into her eyes and promised to love her for the rest of his life, Zara felt something she had never felt before. Complete. Not because she needed a man to complete her, but because she had finally found someone who saw all of her. The perfect daughter she had been. The rebellious woman she had become. The fearless partner she was still becoming. And he loved every single version. You terrified me, you know, he admitted during the reception. When? That first night. When you looked at me and didn't flinch. Everyone flinches. I don't scare easy. I noticed. He pulled her closer. I had been alone for so long. Built walls so high. Convinced myself I didn't need anyone. What changed? You. His voice dropped. You looked at me like I was just a man. Not a threat. Not a crime lord. Not a monster. Just a man. That's what you are. Not to most people. I'm not most people. He laughed. And Zara realized it was her favorite sound in the world. 3 years later, they welcomed a daughter. They named her Seo-yeon, felicitous omen in Korean. She had her father's dark eyes. Her mother's fierce spirit. And she was loved beyond measure. Jae-sun was completely, hopelessly devoted to her. The dangerous crime lord, the man who had built an empire from nothing, spent his evenings singing lullabies and making ridiculous faces to hear her laugh. You've gone soft, Zara teased. Only for my girls. Your reputation will never recover. Good. I don't want it to. He meant it. The man he had been cold, ruthless, alone was gone. In his place was a husband. A father. A partner. Someone who had built walls his whole life, and finally let them fall. Zara's career flourished too. Her architecture firm became one of the most sought after in Seoul. Her designs won international awards. Her name was spoken with respect in circles her father would have killed to enter. She had done it herself. Not through family connections. Not through strategic marriages. Not through performance and pretense. Through talent. Through determination. Through refusing to be anything less than exactly who she was. Seo-yeon grew into a fierce, brilliant young woman. She had her father's strategic mind and her mother's creative vision. She spoke 3 languages. She feared nothing. And she knew, because her parents told her constantly, that she could be anything she wanted. I want to be like you, she told Zara once. Like me how? Strong. Brave. Someone who makes their own choices. Zara's heart swelled. All those years of being controlled, all that pain, all that struggle. It had led to this. A daughter who would never know the cage she had escaped. A daughter who would grow up free. It was worth everything. On her 50th birthday, Zara stood on the balcony of the penthouse she had called home for over 2 decades. Seoul sprawled below her. Different now. Changed. But still home. Jae-sun came up behind her. Gray in his hair now. Lines around his eyes. Still the most handsome man she had ever seen. Happy birthday. I'm getting old. You're getting more beautiful. She laughed. Liar. I've never lied to you. That was true. From the first night they met, he had been honest. About who he was. What he wanted. What he could offer. No pretense. No performance. Just truth. It was the greatest gift he had ever given her. I have something for you, he said. Another present? You've already given me. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a letter. From her father. She hadn't heard from him in over 20 years. Her hands trembled as she read. I was wrong. About everything. You were never my trophy. You were my daughter. And I was too blind to see that what you needed wasn't my plan, it was my support. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know. I'm proud of you. For being brave enough to live your own life. Tears streamed down her face. How did you get this? He reached out. Asked me to deliver it. He's not well. Is he? There's time. If you want to see him. She looked at the letter. At the apology she had waited half her life to receive. at the father who had finally seen her. "Yes," she whispered. "I want to see him." The reconciliation was imperfect. Her father was frail, confused sometimes, a shadow of the powerful man who had once controlled her life. But he was also real. For the first time, they talked. Not about expectations, not about legacy, not about performance, about her, about who she was, what she had built, the woman she had become. And when he told her he was proud, when she saw the tears in his eyes, 20 years of hurt didn't disappear, but they began to heal. He died 3 months later. At his funeral, Zara spoke about the complicated love between parents and children, about expectations and freedom, about finding your own path, even when it breaks hearts. Her mother held her hand throughout. Her daughter sat beside her husband. And when it was over, Zara felt something release. A weight she hadn't known she was carrying. A cage that had finally, completely unlocked. The story of Zara Williams, Zara Kwan, was not a fairy tale. There was no perfect ending. No moment where everything was magically resolved. But there was growth. There was healing. There was a woman who had been given one path and had the courage to choose another. Her family chose her husband. But destiny chose a dangerous Korean stranger. And that choice, that one terrifying, beautiful, life-changing choice, made all the difference. So here's the truth, beautiful people. Your life is not a script someone else gets to write. Your path is not a plan someone else gets to make. You are not a trophy, a symbol, a performance. You are a person. A person with dreams and desires and a destiny that belongs to you. And sometimes choosing yourself means walking away from everything you know. Sometimes it means trusting a stranger. Sometimes it means breaking hearts, including your own. But on the other side of that fear is freedom. On the other side of that pain is purpose. On the other side of that choice is the life you were meant to live. Zara found her freedom and soul in the arms of a dangerous man who loved her completely. In the career she built with her own hands. In the daughter she raised to be fearless. You can find your freedom too. You just have to be brave enough to choose it. Alright. If this story touched your soul, if you felt every moment of that journey, I need you to do something for me. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe. Turn on all notifications so you never miss a story. And drop a comment telling me, would you have walked out of that engagement party? Would you have chosen the dangerous stranger? Would you have had the courage to write your own destiny? Tell me everything. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose yourself. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here until the very end.